Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Checkered Flag E streaming. It is Saturday night, and that means it is time for the Weekend Warriors, the Lucas Oils Australia Weekend Warriors Championship. And we are here tonight for the first round of the Triple Crown. Yes, it is that time of year already, ladies and gentlemen. We are getting ready to get ready for the Triple Crown of the the season. Yes, it's starting to get to that time of year. I'm as ever Mr. Carl Wilkinson, with you doing the job of broadcasting as well as commentating tonight, so apologise in advance for all of the mess ups. And I am joined tonight in the booth by the pilot of the 015, Mr. Brett Campbell. Brett, how you going, buddy?
Not too bad, Carl. Recovered from our jaunts last week, but yes, otherwise I'm very well.
Yeah, I hear you've become a bit of a road racing specialist recently with a good result on the twisty stuff.
Yes, mate. Last week's 24-hour of Spa, the Golden Octopus team, consisting of 6 drivers. While we didn't finish on the lead lap and 13 laps down, we brought it home in a very respectable 4th outright after starting from pit lane.
Very nice indeed. We are getting into qualifying at the moment, and we're going to be riding on board with Mr. Joshua Carroll Walden, getting a driver's eye view of the track and all of the surrounding areas. So,
Yes.
getting the main idea of this track, Brett, it is a very tricky place, isn't it?
It is. It's very tricky, but it's more so tricky because, well, me personally, I find the undulations of the course the trickiest aspect of it, because you come up to some of these corners, and as we'll see Josh in a minute come to probably the twistiest section of the track, you'll see as we stay on board or even maybe go to the helmet view, see how actual tricky it is because of the undulations and not being able to see the apexes of various corners.
Yeah, that really is the tricky part through this section of track. The S's are very hard to get right, and it is very easy to hit one of those curves a bit too hard and find yourself hurtling through the air in the wrong direction.
Yes, it is, but I mean, it's not just the S's that are hard. 90% of these corners, from what I have seen, they're blind because of the undulations, and that makes this track extremely hard. I wouldn't go as far as to say on as hard as our very own Mount Panorama, but it's right up there with that sort of track. And from memory, our very own supercar legend Dick Johnson actually came unstuck here at Sonoma.
Yes, it is a place that's caught many people out in the past, and Dick Johnson, one of those drivers. Many of the legends of the V8s and the Australian legends have come here and struggled to get this place absolutely right, because it is just such a tough track to get it working. And you see there, JCW's just missed the exit of the corner there, coming through turn 7. And he's had to abandon his lap, and that's really hurt his qualifying. He had a bit of a lock-up as well when setting his qualifying lap, and that's put him way down in the timing boards at the moment. So that's going to be interesting to see how it goes, because he was one of our quickest drivers in practice.
Yes, and that is an absolute shock to see JCW, but right down the back of the field. But in saying that, with JCW being one of the fastest drivers, don't be surprised if he drives his way through the field.
Absolutely, it gives us something to watch later in this race as they battle their way through the field. Of course, it's going to be 50 laps here tonight at Sonoma, of course. And look, temperature-wise, it's not too hot out there in the sticky California mountains. Only 28 degrees track temperature, 21 degrees air temperature, a little bit of wind in a southwesterly direction. So, you know, these conditions, it's not going to be too hot for the tyres, and that can be a real boon on the track like this, because tyre temperature can be a killer here.
Yes, and I mean, I did a bit of a trundle around here a little while ago in the practice session, and I honestly don't know how these guys are a couple of these guys in practice were pulling 115, 116s. I was actually only able to get about 125, 126 out of the car. So obviously I've got a lot of work to do on these cars to actually try and get up near where these guys are.
Absolutely. It's Gary Wellman's just having a big accident there. Let's see if we can catch that replay quickly. He's just had a big old off across the dirt, and that's a proper job there for Gary Wellman. That's going to shake him up a little bit.
It is. I'm wondering if Gary actually races in VR or whether he's got monitors in front of him, because that would rattle your brain cells a little bit if running in VR.
Absolutely. Let's hope it's not VR, because you'd be a little bit queasy after a big rollover like that.
I know the pilot of the where is he? 05, Andy Barber. I know Andy runs in VR, and he's told me when him and I have had some rather close racing incidences, and he's gone skyward. He's had to take his VR headset off and throw it because it just made him that seasick. It wasn't funny.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've got the option to run in VR myself, and I must say, on the oval tracks, I tend to avoid it because it's a little bit too extreme on the ovals. You really feel so closed in, it makes you really start to have a little panic attack. On the road courses, it's not too bad, though, but when you have a big accident like that, not very fun at all. So, a few drivers not yet to set a lap, a few drivers have set their laps, so we'll just wait for qualifying to start to come towards the end of this session, so we'll keep an eye on all of the action for you and get ready for the race, Brett. And race wise, it's going to be a tricky one tonight.
It is, mate, and it's a bit of a different looking front row so far, with the SRM team of Matty Raymond and Ruben Phelps locking it out, but there is still 2.5 minutes to go in qualifying.
No, absolutely. It's good to see the SRM team having a good result out there. And look, they are really on top form at the moment as well. Championship-wise, they have been having some really good results recently as well. So they will be keen to continue their championship run as the season goes on. Of course, I don't actually have the full championship listing here tonight, unfortunately. We'll bring that up for you next round, of course, and have that all to hand and all to detail for you then. But it is, needless to say, Ruben Phelps is going to be pretty happy up there at the front. A couple of his biggest opponents are not out there once again.
Yeah, sorry, Mark. Carl, I'm just trying to grab those current positions for you.
Thank you very much. So you're doing my job tonight, Brett. That's the problem.
Yes, unfortunately we won't have the graphic for it, but I will run through the placings when I find the actual right one. Because unfortunately with me running Spa last week, I'm actually 2 races out of the standings, so...
Yes, you've been too busy doing other things, Brett, abandoning us.
So, what race are we in this week? Race 22?
Race 22, yes. I'm pretty sure it's race 22 here at Sonoma for the Virtual Motorsport Mentor Triple Crown. Of course, it is the first round of the Triple Crown, and that means double points are available tonight as well.
Okay, so our current top 10 as it stands as of last week at Nashville Super Speedway. So out of P1 in the championship is Ruben Phelps on 854 points. Matty Raymond out of the same stable of SRM, P2 on 806 points, 48 points behind Ruben. Out of third is Toby Stent on 714, 140 points behind Ruben. Brad Fenley in the 52. No, that's Aiden. Finley in the 59 VB Motorsports car is out of P4. 713 points is his total points. So he's only one behind Toby Stent and could move into, he will move into third position tonight, barring any unfortunate capabilities. Then we have James rounding out the top 10 because it's a bit confusing with all this points stuff here. We have Jamie Nankervis, Joe Schultz, Norman Clark, Stevie Williams, Tristan Koch, and Adam Ariel. So Tristan and Adam should move up the order, as should Normie Clark and Jamie, with some clean running tonight.
Absolutely, it's going to be a important night for these drivers. Let's run through the grid for tonight's racing. Starting on the front row, taking pole position, it's an SRM lockout. Matty Ray starts ahead of Ruben Phelps. Matty Ray taking pole position here tonight. Not the first time we've seen him on pole. He absolutely can pull it out of the bag when he wants to. Ruben Phelps starting on the outside. Row number 2, we have Norman Clark and Tristan Koch. On the third row tonight, it's Brenton Henderson with Jamie Nankervis on his outside. Row number 4, if it loads up, there we go, is Aidan Schultz with Andy Barber. Row number 5, we've got Joshua Carroll Walden with Mark Smith. Row number 6 is Brad Fenley next to Paul Drady. On the 7th row, it's going to be Gary Wellman lining up next to Christopher Tomlin. And rounding out our field tonight, it's going to be Lachlan Urquio and Adam Ariel out of the 8th row. 16 cars out there tonight for tonight's race. So a decent field turning out here tonight, which is always good to see.
Yes, it is, mate. And with one thing that we haven't mentioned tonight is the random competition cautions. So that could add some spice to some already spicy racing.
Absolutely, and that will come at a random time between lap 5 and lap 40, I think it is, from memory. But it has been selected. We know what it is from our little machine, and we won't spoil anything there for you all, but it will come eventually in this race. So drivers are coming around for the formation lap at the moment. Lots of little bits to do here, and you can see Matty Ray already doing a little bit of weaving, trying to get a little bit of extra temperature in those tyres. Of course, the ultra low profile tyres that we use nowadays on this next generation Cup car, Brett, they do take a little bit longer to warm up than the old sort of 14-15 inch rims.
Yeah, do, mate, and it's probably one of the things that I struggle with and suffer with early on in the races that I do with the boys, but that's just learning and, so to speak, gathering the information as we say in motorsport to be able to make ourselves better.
That's it. Look, it's all a learning process, isn't it? That is one of the big things, is learning to get better and better as the races go on. Pace car is about to pull in here, and we will be looking at going racing here at Sonoma. Watch out for turn 1. We often see issues in that first corner. Will we see them tonight? We're going to find out soon as they come round the hairpin for the first time tonight and on to the front. Well, it's not really straight through the final corner, and onto the straight they go. It's going to be going.
Matty Ray's going to hold him up as long as he can, I think.
Absolutely, he'll be holding it up, and as soon as it goes green, they go, and away we go for round 22 of the Lucas Oils Australia Weekend Warriors Series, and they all look to have gotten away cleanly.
It certainly appears that way, mate. I haven't had nothing on my screen for crashes or anything, so great to see the 15 drivers on the track tonight getting away to a nice clean start.
Absolutely, you can see Joshua Carroll and Aidan Schultz already battling it out there as they come through the set of corners, and Joe CW makes up a position already here tonight. as they come down towards the S's for the first time in anger. And this is where you really make your money. You can just see how much they're snaking through these corners, and it makes it very, very tricky indeed. You get a lot of heat build up through here, and it's very easy to make a mistake coming up to this section. Coming up to the hairpin for the first time as well. It's going to catch a few people out with cold brakes, I'm sure. Beautiful view here. We're going to see the cars coming in. Matty Ray leading away with Ruben Phelps just behind him. Tristan Koch up in third, and Joshua Carroll-Walden making another position, making it past Brenton Henderson. They all look to have made it through the hairpin tonight, as a little lock up there for Paul Drady, but they are all through.
They are. And Jamie's actually slipped to the back. I do know that we spoke to Jamie prior to the green flag, and Jamie was saying that he was actually struggling with this track tonight. He likes Sonoma, but for some reason he's just struggled with the track tonight.
Yeah, it's a bit of a struggle in this car, of course. It's not the easiest of cars to get absolutely right. We find this a lot of the times, as something may have happened to Aidan Schultz as he's dropping down the order, and he's pointing the wrong direction, and that is not looking good for the 52. Let's jump to a replay here and see what we can find.
And sorry, Carl, I didn't have that come up on my screen.
That's okay. Just taking a little bit too much curb there, and lucky you didn't get beached actually, because that curb is very, very high. And the 52 waits for the rest of the field to go through, and then flick spins it around and gets it back up to speed.
And I do have to say, as painter of that car, I do wish he would get that right.
One day he'll fix it. One day.
Oh, one day I might just get him or his partner to send me his details for trading paint so that I can fix it up for him. But no, in all seriousness, Aidan's running the Golden Octopus paint, raising awareness for a great cause of children doing the hard yards that no child should do, battling the dreaded cancer word. As we all know, July is, well, as some people are aware, July is Sarcoma Awareness Month, which is mainly a childhood cancer. So if you can lend a hand at all, please look up the Golden Octopus Foundation, which, and I should know this off the top of my head, which I don't, and my apologies to Keely Johnson for that. But if you look up all the w's.goldenoctopusfoundation.org.au, you can find a link on their website to actually donate to help them, or even go to their shop and buy an Ollie the Octopus or a Olivia Octopus, and donate it back to the organisation. Donate it to a child that's doing the hard battle.
Absolutely a worthy cause there indeed. Up the front, we have got the SRM team battling it out up there, and it's Matty Ray in the lead. And look, championship implications to these two as well. So Matty Ray is going to be really looking at getting this one in a good spot, as Tristan Koch has a moment in the background, and that is a bit of an off there for the 550. Some damage to the left-hand side. Let's see if we can catch that replay. So, just going side by side with JCW, just goes a little bit wide, and that causes the 550 to go off there and make a clatter with the wall.
And as we're on lap 4 at the moment, our current standings for tonight's race are Matty Raymond in P1, Ruben Phelps in P2, Tristan Koch, I believe, is still in P3.
No, he's dropped down. So he's dropped down a fair few positions, Tristan. He's dropped down to 6th at the moment.
Okay, fair enough. So we'll try that again. Matty Raymond's out in P1, Ruben's out of P2, Joshua Carroll-Walden is up and in P3. Andy Barber is out of P4. Norman Clark is in P5. And I'll leave it there just in case somebody has, or Tristan hasn't, been able to maintain 6th, and position 6 on are out of whack if that is the case.
Keep an eye on the timing, the live timing screen, the other live timing screen that's posted with that one, because the iRacing one doesn't update until they get across the line for the lap, of course. So it just throws you out a little bit as you're looking through those. Very easy mistake to make.
Yep, and it appears that Tristan has managed to salvage P6. Gary Wellman's out of P7. Brenton Henderson, another of the SRM stable cars, is out of P8. Brad Fenley's out of P9. And Lucas Oil, Plucker's Racing... I can't even remember what Plucker calls his race team.
Plucker's Racecraft, I'm pretty sure.
Plus Plucker's Racecraft. And Paul Drady's out of P10.
No, it's a bit of a mouthful sometimes. It's one of those ones that gets me. It's a little known fact, to have a speech impediment, and sometimes some of the ones that are a little bit tongue twistery, they make it very tricky to get it right, and it's a little bit difficult for us sometimes up here in the booth as we're glancing between multiple different screens at once. The brain power doesn't always switch on, so it's an easy mistake to make. But Joshua Carroll-Walden at the moment is on a charge. He's moved his way up the field. The Atari driver is coming along nicely at the moment, as we will jump on board here and get an idea of a race lap for this round number 22 of the Australian Stock Car Championship Weekend Warriors here at Sonoma.
And the radio is lit up with some conversation between Aiden and Jamie, so not sure what's going on there. Jamie had a bit of a lose in the back of the track, and Aiden's gone into the wall as well.
Okay, let's jump to that one and see if we can catch the replay here and find out what's going on for these drivers. So Aiden Schultz here coming down the track, and I wonder if Jamie's just had a spin in front of him. Oh no, it's Jamie looked like Jamie clipped that inside ripple strip, and he's gone to the outside wall, and I think Aiden might have just been sort of overcompensated there a little bit to avoid Jamie, or yeah, by the look of it, Aiden sort of anticipated Jamie to come out onto the track in front of him, so he sort of swerved to avoid him, and maybe got caught in a bit of rubbish there, and unfortunately he's found the inside wall. And another driver just copying that act was Paul Drady there. He's just done exactly the same move, but avoided contact with the wall. And Tristan Koch has had something happen to him as well, as it looks like the rear tyres have just heated up a little bit too much for the 550, and he's just not caught that slide in time. So a few moments there for a few separate drivers, and that shaped things up a little bit further down the field. Meanwhile, up the front, the racing is coming along thick and fast. The two drivers up the front are really battling it out.
They are. So the interesting thing here is going to be Matty Ray being Mr. Sheen and paying for all the engines. Does he tell Ruben to wait and let him take the win tonight, or does he step aside and let Ruben go through? We'll just have to wait and see how that pans out as the race progresses.
Look, they are in a championship battle with each other, so I would not be too shocked if these two are going to race hard and try their best to keep up there. Of course, they have to try and keep away the third place car, Joshua Carroll-Walden, as well, so there's going to be plenty of action there. And you see right there, Ruben Phelps taking advantage of Matty Ray going a little bit deep, and down the inside goes Phelpsy and moves up into the lead.
Ooh. Excuse me. Yes, that was beautiful drive there by Ruben. He it's very funny driving with Ruben. It's in your Discord chat, because some nights you'll have a really good night, and other nights it'll be bad, and that's what you can hear, unfortunately, when you're trying to concentrate on your own race. But by the same token, at least if somebody's having a bad night, you've got something to, so to speak, look for in your own car that you're not, so that then you can try and avoid replicating the dramas that somebody else is having. With this being a fixed setup, any learning that you can do from one of your teammates, it helps immensely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope that all made sense.
Yeah, look, there's a lot you can learn from your teammates, and SRM have been doing a lot to learn from each other recently. We know they've been working very, very hard, getting everything right, and, well, they are getting very, very good at getting these decent results as they come down the start-finish straight again towards turn number 1, and doing a good job out in the lead at the moment as we're on lap 10 of 50 here tonight.
And very surprising that we've only had a couple of, so to speak, local cautions, and somebody's just gone off in front of Jamie coming up into the final hairpin, which just looked like it was a bit of overcooking going into that bit of a sweeper there.
Let's see if we can find that moment. I think it might have been Mark Smith. I've got an instant up for him. So we'll see what's happened to the 0-7 right here.
You might have to fast forward at Mark. Carl, it was right at the end. Oh boy, it's going to be one of those nights tonight.
Locking up into the final hairpin and just taking it through there, but lose a lot of time by locking up the wheel in that section of track, and that is exactly what's happened there to the number 7 of Mark Smith.
And that could have just been, although we're going into that final set of corners, it's not so much a unsighted corner, it's probably more so, like you said, the heat in the tyres.
Yeah, you get a lot of thermal degradation in a race like this, and although it's not too hot out there, as we've got something happening for Mark Smith again, just gone to the runoff road. He's just taking the service road down through the S's there, and just taking his way through there. Obviously, struggling a little bit with that car at the moment, and taking it to the service road just to get through for another lap. But yeah, the thermal degradation on these tyres, it really gets hot and it builds up. Even though it's not too hot in the atmosphere, even though the track's not super hot tonight, the tyres do heat up, especially through those S's. You've got lots of high-speed corners, and that will really help them out as JCW makes a move here on Maddie Ray for P2. Maddie Ray tries the up and under. Not going to let it stick for JCW. They're going to race hard up to the start-finish line, but JCW's going to have the inside line for the next set of corners.
And Matty Ray just gets out of it, gives JCW the corner there. Good racing by the two gentlemen in probably one of the tightest sections of the track as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen mistakes there in the past. If you have a car go round in that segment of track, it is disastrous because it is so narrow there. You've got concrete walls either side of you, and it will easily bring out a caution flag, and does be a disastrous thing for the race as well. It's very easy to have a race-ending accident in that part of the track.
And the drivers aren't going to be looking forward to... Well, they are going to be looking forward to it, but they're not going to be looking forward to the competition caution, because aside from bunching everybody back up again, if the driver's on a run and being able to drive away, all that hard work that they've done is null and void. But by the same token, JCW will gain all the extra time that he lost through starting at the back of the field and be able to take it to Ruben on a restart.
Absolutely. As we see... Andy Barber there moving his way up. He's up 4 spots so far. He's having a solid race out there tonight. Started 8th, moved up into 4th position, and is just quietly chipping away at the field.
JC Dubs just lost it.
Let's jump to the replay here, Brett. Oh, just through that tricky section of track through 4 and 5, I think it is. 4 or 5 or 3 and 4. Trying to remember corners without my track map up, which is never easy.
I think it was 3 and 4 that it was going through. Sort of looks because I've actually got the track map up on my screen on my monitors, and yes, it looked like it was coming out of 3 up into 4, so the sort of tight crisscross there at 3 and 4, or chicane, whatever you want to call it.
The sweeping S's through that section, and look, that's part of the track again that really pays having sort of hot tyres on the car, and you really get caught out with that one. Another driver on the move is the Sim Boy, the lone Sim Boy out there. We often say Sim Boys are like hydras. You cut one head off and 6 more grow back in their place. But we have Gary Wellman out there tonight, and he's managed to make up 6 positions so far. So he's had a good run through the field in the 45 after that big accident in qualifying. They managed to rebuild the car and get him back out there in a decent position.
And tongue-in-cheek, Carl, I know we've mentioned it before, but I'm starting to wonder if Gary's actually parting ways with the Sim Boys, because he's doing a lot of these races by himself, not with his other teammates. So, tongue-in-cheek, as we all know that the Sim Boys are a very tight-knit group of racers. From what I believe, they all jump in the garage and down in...
big moment there, Brett. Just in front of them, Paul Drady just spun right in front of Gary Wellman. Let's get the replay up on that one. Because Brenton Henderson and Drady were coming up, and look at this. They just missed that accident, and that's going to be, well, night over for the 129.
Yes, unfortunately, plucked the wheel out of it. Well, plucked the right front quarter out of it. No, he did bent the steering on it, Neville, so...
Yeah, you can see that from the shot. There is a lot of damage on the right front of that car, and, well... If we jump onto the cockpit view, it's
just to get it into pit lane, just to get it into pit lane is going to be a bit of a mission.
I'd say that's going to be night run for the 129, because yeah, there's going to be a lot of repairs on that one.
Unlucky for that one.
I was going to say, Brett,
I wonder if we give Paul a bit of a chance to cool down and maybe bring him up for a chat, Carl.
We'll see if he lurks around in the medical centre. Keep an eye on that one, Brett, because I don't have enough eyes to glance up to that screen at the moment. I need to become more like a spider. Meanwhile, up the front, we've got a change of position because Ruben Phelps is in pit lane.
Oh.
He's come down pit lane for his stop, so he's decided to come in for his stop here and take some fresh tyres and a big lick of fuel and get his service done and dusted. So, first pit stop for our leader, and that means Maddie Ray has jumped up into the lead of this race.
Yes, Maddie's re-inherited the lead again, so... Yep.
So, yeah, Maddie Ray has got a nice little jump up there and managed to get back into the lead of the race, and, well, some more bonus points coming his way.
Yes, so Triple Crown, all the extra associated points with it. And round he comes.
And Matty Ray is going to come up to the line to complete lap 17 here. And it is time for a competition caution. So, unfortunately for Ruben Phelps, that sort of pit stop came just at the wrongish time. He is going to be a little bit sour about that, I am sure. But for some other drivers, it's going to pay off quite well.
But by the same token, Carl, that could play into Ruben's hands. Because Ruben is only in P5 at the moment. So, depending on what Matty Raymond, JC Dub, Andy Barber, Norman Clark, and Brenton oh, hang on. No, he's all moved again. Oh, boy. It's one of those nights, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I'll have to train you up on the timing screens.
So, yeah, Ruben's only dropped down to P8. So, depending on when all those drivers in front of him, so Matty Ray, JCW, Andy Barber, Norman Clark, Brenton Henderson, Gary Wellman, Tristan Koch. Oh, boy. When they all decide to do their pit stop, that could play into his hands because pits are closed until after they get up to the safety car, which at the moment is at pit exit. So Matty Raymond will be coming up to the safety car very shortly. So everybody else hasn't been able to pit and won't be able to pit until this time by. So this is going to play into Ruben's hands because everybody in front of him will have to pit, and he's pitted and probably fueled to the end. So he's not going to need to pit again, and yeah.
He's going to have nice warm tyres as well, so everybody else's tyres will be a little bit cooler, so Ruben's tyres will be a little bit warmer. And we've seen that with this generation of car, that the slightly warmer tyres are good on a restart like this. So that could be it could work out quite well for that restart and help him out a little bit here. But I'm sure he would have rather come in pit lane when it was cautioned. You know, just come in the lead, come in. You know, not have to worry too much about it. You know, just
not be under the pressure.
That's it. It reduces some of that pressure, but it also throws the worry of everybody's mind out as well, because the competition caution can absolutely throw things a different way, and it can make a race go very differently for some people. You know, you might stick it out there as long as you can, hoping that caution comes out at the nick of time, or you can come in early and roll the dice a little bit.
Yes, and still no sign of Paul in the medical center, so I'm just seeing if Paul still hasn't gone.
No, I think he's still trying to get the car into some condition to get it back out on track. So we'll keep our focus on the rest of the drivers out there, and into the lane they come. Matty Ray leading the team down the lane, and he is going to be getting that that prime pit stall as well, that last pit bay, because he did get pole position. Ruben Phelps is going to jump up to the lead now, and he's going to be going, well, yeah, okay, I've got a couple of laps on these tyres, but I'm not going to complain too much. So in they come, Norman Clark just behind him as well. Let's see how this pit stop goes. JCW out very early, and I think JCW just took fuel only. So that's going to be another thing, of course. Who takes tyres, who takes fuel, and I think a lot of drivers are just taking fuel only. So there we go, that's what I was looking for. So that's going to be a big factor in the race. Norman Clark taking fuel only, JCW taking fuel only. Looks like Andy Barber and Matty Ray both took tyres. So there's been a couple of people just taking the fuel, not worrying about the tyres. A couple of people taking the tyres, not worrying about, and taking the fuel as well. So that is going to change things up enormously, but up the front, it's going to be a battle between JCW and Ruben Phelps in the lead. Norman Clark's going to be starting behind him with Matty Ray.
And Carl, I think if we remember correctly, back to Road America, I'm pretty sure, didn't JCW only take fuel that race as well?
He did indeed. And look, we've seen it with this car. It can go quite well with just the just tyres alone. You know, we've seen it before where taking tyres only works out taking fuel only can work out quite well.
But also, in saying that, Road America was a totally different track to what the drivers are attacking tonight. A lot more twistiness, a lot more backwards and forwards. So the friction on the tyres is going to heat the tyres up more and quicker and whatnot. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this race pays out. And I don't believe that they can fuel to the end, can they, Mark? Carl?
I'm not sure on. I think they can actually make the fuel to here on the end, so they should be able to make it to the end on this tank of fuel. So they should be pretty good here. It's just mainly going to be, you know, the tyre factor, and tyres, they should be good. Like, they should be fairly good, but we have seen recently that sometimes fresher tyres in the road courses have paid off a little bit towards the end of the stint. Just that few last laps can make a big difference with fresh tyres, and a few people have been caught out by not changing those tyres, so we'll see if that comes to fruition tonight. Remember, JCW and Norman Clark both have not changed tyres, so they're on the tyres they started with. Everybody else has got fresh boots on their car, so that's going to change things up possibly for this race. We will see how it all unfolds though with the remaining 30 laps of this race.
And I just see that Paul has posted in the general chat the only part of the track he's familiar with. And it's a screenshot of Plucker sitting in where else but pit lane.
I think it's the drag strip.
Yeah.
From memory. So yeah, the long straight bit, you know, that's the easy bit to remember. But we are about to go green here once more, and it's going to be Ruben Phelps and Joshua Carroll-Walden up the front, coming round, and keep an eye on this section of racetrack because, well, as we said before at the start of the race, we've seen some big accidents here in the past. Away they go. Ruben Phelps leading away here, and up towards turn 1 they come for lap 20 lap 20 of tonight's race. 30 laps to go here tonight, and looks like they've all made it through unscathed in this section of racetrack.
Yeah, and of our original starters, we've only got where is it? Aiden so far, I believe, is the only withdrawal. So far, Aiden is the only one that has pulled the pin, having lost the front of the number 52 machine in that unfortunate incident. Unluckiness for Aiden. He'll be actually glad that I can't throw him under the bus anymore, but yeah, isn't that what a good commentator is supposed to do to the constituents on the racetrack, Carl?
No, absolutely. A good teammate has got to throw his teammate underneath the bus. It is important as JCW locks up into the hairpin, trying to push on Ruben Phelps. Remember, JCW on a little bit older tyres, but they will be up to heat nice and quick. And we are fully on at the moment. I think this is going to be a really tough battle between these two cars. As JCW looks to make a move up the inside, round the outside, and JCW makes the move stick up into the lead of the race here.
And I actually thought both of them got a little bit out of shape going around turn 1 there, Carl. I'm not 100% sure, but it looked they were both a little bit sideways. So boys are putting a bit of extra heat into the tyres as soon as they can. So let's see how this one pans out.
Absolutely. There was a bit of a lock-up there as well. They were really, really racing hard in that bit of the race. So good to see them making it through unscathed. Let's see if we can get the replay for this one. Go to the blimp eye view and watch this one. JCW goes right up the inside and pushes Ruben Phelps a little bit wide, and that's what gave him position, Brett. And as you spotted, it just put them out of sorts a little bit.
Actually, a bit of net code in there, Carl, because they weren't really that close, and it looked like Ruben just got, like you said, just looks like JCW gave him a bit of a punt to get through, but I think there might have been net code in that.
possibly a little tiny bit of rubbing there as well, but they did well to keep the cars out of trouble. That's the main thing. They did a good job of keeping themselves out of a big issue.
It is.
But what I'd say is just wait for Ruben to get fully up to temperature and get fully comfortable with this new set of tyres. And we'll see if he can start closing the gap on JCW. Or if an Atari driver has absolutely done the right trick by sticking to the old tyres and making it work. One of those other drivers that stuck to the old tyres was Norman Clark, and we see him catching on to Matty Ray's tail as well, the Black Arrows team, with Norman Clark having a good run up in P4 at the moment.
Yeah, I'm still interested to know if Paul is keen for a chat to let us know.
I think he might be. No, he's still in the lane, so we won't worry too much about that for now, Brett.
Yeah, but yeah, the battles that are on track at the moment, they're definitely close. So the drivers are, and Gary Wellman's just run a little bit wide by the look in the hairpin, and Andy Barber gains a spot due to that. But yeah, I'm really impressed with how clean the racing has been tonight, and it's good to see that the admin won't have to do a great deal of officiating tonight.
Absolutely, we like to see clean motor racing, and a little bit of a touch here and there, like a little bit of door panel rubbing. There's nothing wrong with that, but you've got to you've got to try and keep it relatively clean, you know, not running anyone off the road and things like that, and they've done a really good job of that, and we've seen some really good driving as well tonight. One of those drivers being Andy Barber. He's managed to get up a few nice positions, and he's battling with Gary Wellman at the moment, just trying to be the big gaining driver in the pack. Wants to try and close the gap on Norman Clark, but it does look like Norman's just bridging a little bit. He's just extending his lead over Andy Barber at the moment.
And just noticed Andy coming into the back section. He was looked like he was trying to do his best Peter Brock impersonation going through the dipper at Bathurst with two wheels off the ground. Carl, I don't know whether you caught that yourself, as Gary Wellman's locked it up a little bit going into the hairpin there again.
See side by side with Tristan Koch, but Gary just keeps it in front at the moment. They're driving on the ragged edge at the moment, and yeah, Brett, as you said, you're doing the old two-wheel jump over the corner curbs as well. It's great to see them keeping the cars in control for that, because it's not the easiest thing to do. You know, when a car gets airborne, it's not the easiest thing to drive when it's not got all four of its wheels in contact with the tarmac.
Definitely not. And we've already seen that Jamie got unglued after making only marginal contact with the inside ripple strip. I guess if you were to put Jamie's contact on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being weak and 10 being severe, Jamie's would have probably been about a 3. And then you look at Andy's there, it was probably up around the 7 or the 8 out of 10.
Yeah, get the scorecards out. We need some pretty young ladies in the old bikinis to come walking them across, of course. I don't think anyone's keen for us to be doing that.
No, definitely not.
Okay, once I find the right cameras. And our leader at the moment, Joshua Carroll Walden, he is extending the gap at the moment and getting a good run up front. He's just set the fastest lap of the race as well, 15.7, a 1 minute 15.7. So he is absolutely flying. 5-second lead over Ruben Phelps back in second.
And when you look at that time that JCW has set, that's only 0.3 of a second slower than his practice qualifying time of a 1:15.4.
Yeah, really going for it at the moment, and look, car's a little bit heavier with fuel, but it is doing well and is chugging along there. And up in the leaders, we just look at the fastest time set, and you can see that JCW absolutely flying, although it's not too far off from Ruben Phelps. So what we might do here is just take a little bit of a ride on board with our leader as we go round here at Sonoma and get to enjoy the sound of these glorious V8 engines. And we are back, and up the front, JCW still in the lead, but a little bit further back, Maddie Ray is just extending a little bit of gap over Norman Clark, and Andy Barber is closing down on Norman now. So the sort of slightly fresher tyres on Andy Barber's car are coming into use, and he is starting to make a little bit of time over the 09 of Norman Clark, and the battle for fourth is definitely on.
Yeah, and the Sly Fox Norman Clark, it's just going to have to wait and see how his real life background plays into the cards over the next couple of laps with regards to tyre life, tyre wear, tyre heat.
And we've got something going on with JCW, as we will try and jump to that one, as he's had a big moment going off the track. Sorry, let's get that one back again. Just going up through the track, and he's just got on the dirt and the grass and had a big old spin there with the car, and that has lost him an awful lot of time coming down towards that fast right-hander. So that's cost JCW some time. He's still in the lead, but that was a big moment there for our leader, and that's closed the gap to Ruben Phelps. And we've also got this one from Adam Ariel. Let's see what's happened to the 515 Wheaties Pies entry, and running wide through the third to last corner, but he just makes that one, just saves it by the skin of his teeth. Adam Ariel, clapping for you there. Good on you for making that one safe.
I would have thought it would have been his pie pastry width there, Carl, not the skin of his teeth.
That's it, the skin of his phyllo pastry there. That was absolutely as tight as you want it, especially on that corner, because it is so fast, so easy to make a big mistake there and have a big accident.
And it's so easy, as we saw, I think it was Mark Smith earlier on in the race, go wide into the outside wall there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of damage that will happen to the car as well. You know, that's the thing, in a sort of corner like that, it will cause an enormous amount of damage to the vehicle, and you know that can be a race-ending situation. The gap between Matty Ray and Ruben Phelps it's not really growing, and it's sort of keeping a very solid, respectable about 1.4 seconds between these two as well. So they are really, really keeping on with each other, and just saw there a little bit of lock-up from Ruben Phelps as well. And you know, Matty Ray is keeping himself really close, and we've seen this from Matty Ray recently, just very good on the road courses. You know, it's sort of probably a bit understated for this style of track for Matty Ray, but the 83 Mr. Sheen SRM machine, he is very, very good on, well, any kind of track you throw him at.
Yeah, Matty seems to have really picked up in the middle part of the season here, and that's not giving Matty Raymond any disservice either, because Matty Ray, he's a hard racer, and I've been caught behind him a few times, and I've been in front of him a few times, and I just can't seem to make the 015 Golden Octopus Chevrolet wide enough to either be able to hold him behind me or to get past him and hold him out of the way.
It's not the easiest man to keep by, as we just come to the hairpin here. A bit of a replay, and Norman Clark just locks up a wheel, and that is all it takes for Andy Barber in the 05 to make the move up into P4. Andy Barber charging his way through and moving himself up into fourth in this race.
Yeah, and it's good to see Andy having a good dig. Andy unfortunately doesn't get to do a lot of work with it, a lot of racing with us. He's normally pretty well tied up on a Saturday night, so it's good to see the 05 of Andy Barber making an appearance on the track tonight.
Absolutely, we've seen him having some pretty poor luck as well, you know, which it's tricky sometimes. You know, you sort of have those moments where the connection drops out and little things failing on you, and Andy Barber tends to be the driver that has that happen to him. So we'll hope that tonight is a nice easy one for him, and he can get some good points here tonight for this, the first round of the Triple Crown. But the man doing a good job at the moment is Joshua Carroll-Walden out in the lead. 17 laps to go here. We are, well, we're coming down towards the final little run here tonight, and not too much longer in this race left.
What are we looking at? We're looking at about 16 laps to go. And yeah, JCW is still controlling the factor with a nearly 3-second lead to Ruben Phelps. And then a further 1.5 seconds, 1.3 seconds to, or 1 second now to Matty Raymond in third.
That's it. Sitting down in fourth spot, we have Andy Barber, one of those drivers that's made up a few positions in tonight's race, and Norman Clark just behind him. As JCW's just made another little mistake, it seems. Let's just quickly double check, see what's happening to the 35. Natari car, he just runs wide coming up through those first sets of corners. You don't want to be doing that too often, and again, that's narrowed the gap up the front once more. And JCW is just making a couple of small mistakes here, maybe pushing a little bit too hard on those slightly older tyres, and we see him just running wide again. So just got to take it in, just reel it in a little bit, take a deep breath, and get himself back into this race. So we'll continue our little rundown. In fifth position is Norman Clark for the Black Arrows, keeping up the good pace and putting the pressure on Andy Barber still, making sure that, telling Andy, you can't make any mistakes, I will pounce on them as well. A little bit further back in sixth spot, some 6 seconds back, is Tristan Koch. He has the ever hard, ever fast charging Gary Wellman behind him, but Tristan is sitting a little bit more relaxed now in the 550. And not pushing as hard as he was in the early stages and having a couple of small mistakes. He's doing a good job to keep that car in a good position at the moment. Ahead of this man, Gary Wellman, in 7th. And then a little bit further back for Aussie Beer, the VB entry of Brad Fenley. He's going to be pretty happy if he can keep his position in 8th spot. Just ahead of Jamie Nankervis in 9th. These two will be battling it out because they are very close on track, and this could be a really strong finish for both parties tonight. And well, we heard from Jamie before the race, Brett, that he wasn't looking forward to this race too much, but now there's a chance for a good finish. He's all of a sudden got the pace back underneath him.
I was actually talking about parking it at the halfway distance, maybe seeing the catastrophic races of a couple of the other drivers. He's decided to push on and see what he can actually get.
Could be on for a good finish here tonight inside the top 10. Just behind him is Brenton Henderson in the 81, the other SRM entry, just cruising along, not putting too much pressure on the car, keeping himself in the right spot at the right time, just keeping himself in a good position and keeping himself inside the top 10. And we have Mark Smith having a huge accident there. I was wondering what was happening to the 07, and he is having a monster accident through the S's. Let's just jump to this car and find out what's happened. He's just got a little bit loose on the entry, and there's a big bump there, and oh no, that is disastrous for Mark Smith's night. And another Lucas Oils car going off in the pretty much the same spot we saw Paul Drady.
Yeah, I actually think that was the exact spot that Paul Drady went in, only Mark managed to back it into the tyre barrier there, so maybe he escaped all damage.
Yeah, good job from that one. Leader's coming up to a couple of the lapped cars. He's coming up behind Adam Ariel here, and we're going to jump on board with JCW and watch this action from the on board, I'd say, for the next couple of moments, and get to enjoy this car roaring its way through the foothills of Sonoma. So with 11 laps to go here, it's JCW in the lead ahead of Ruben Phelps at the moment. And, well, it's been a fairly quiet couple of moments there. We saw JCW just working his way through some of the traffic as it was battling its way through the track as well. We'll jump down to Adam Ariel. He's down in 11th position, and after that monster save, he's doing good just to keep himself in P11 at the moment and sort of keeping himself sort of in with a shout of getting a top 10 here tonight.
Yeah, mate, it's self-preservation tonight, and who's that? Looks like they're trundling out of pit lane. Mark Smith's coming back out of pit lane. So Mark's obviously had to go in and get some new tyres or get some damage repaired. Yeah. At the moment, our top 5 are Joshua Carroll Walden, Ruben Phelps, Matty Raymond, and Andy Barber and Norman Clark is the top 5 at present.
That's it. And Andy Barber's managed to put a bit of a lead on Norman Clark as well, so he's doing a good job of extending that lead. And I was just looking back to the battle between Matty Ray and Ruben Phelps, and that gap has closed.
Yeah, it's come down, and while I don't know that Andy will have enough to gain that 6.2 seconds currently behind Matty Ray, Andy might actually be able to close that down a little bit as well.
Yeah, he's doing a good job at the moment, and look, a mistake from any of these top 3 could see him jumping up a position here. And well, we just saw Ruben Phelps making a bit of a mistake in turn 1, having a big slide through the corner. Just managed to save the car in the corner and just keep it pointing in the right direction, but it closed the gap between himself and Matty Ray very, very quickly.
And just on that shot there, if you look in the background, you can see Andy Barber. So if you're curious as to what 6 seconds looks like, that's it. That's it on the road. Maybe a blimp view might show that gap a bit better, Carl.
Well, we'll jump to the hairpin view because that will show it nicely. You can see those 2 cars coming through the hairpin. Andy Barber just entering it right now and just has a little lock up, and Norman Clark following him. But the 2 cars just disappear through the left-hand side of the screen. And that's sort of good little showing of the gaps here as we see Gary Wellman going down the inside of Adam Ariel, getting him, just putting the lap on him. The Lucas Oil car there of Mark Smith. And then we have Brad Fenley and Jamie Nankervis still battling it out on track. These 2 have been really going for it through the last few laps.
Yeah, and as you would know, our crew chiefs don't really like Brad, or they can't pronounce his last name. And anybody who does use crew chief, you will know that. And once again, not having a go at Brad or anything, but more so the developers of some of these racing applications that we all use. For pronunciations.
As Jamie Curvis is looking to make a move on Mr. Brad Finoli, and he makes the move down there and gets past, going down into the final corner before the S's, and the battle is very much on between these 2, and it looks like Jamie's just managed to make it work for now.
And an absolute ripping demonstration of Jim from Crew Chief there, Carl. Well done.
I do what I can. Look, us commentators need to mispronounce things as well, otherwise we're not getting paid right.
Oh, that's true too.
So good move there from Jamie Nankervis. Let's see if we can get the replay for that one. So let's jump to that one for Jamie Nankervis and Brad Fenley, and jump up to the blimp view here, and we're going to see Brad's just going to run a little bit wide, I reckon. He brakes a little bit too early, and Jamie pounces on that. Gets in a little bit late, locks the brakes a tiny bit, but he's got the ability to get the run off there. It's quite a wide corner, and he uses that to his advantage, and Jamie Nankervis moves himself up into 8th position.
I think I think that was probably more smart racing by Brad to just realise that Jamie was starting to have a bit more pace on him than what he could carry. So he sort of braked a little bit early and just sort of given Jamie the corner and not put up too much of a fight there as well.
Yeah, it was good driving from both of them out there as well. Nice to see that action on track. Meanwhile, the SRM cars are still battling it out, and you can see Ruben Phelps is doing his best to keep Matty Ray behind him. Championship contenders as well this season, championship rivals, and they are, they're not battling too hard, but they're not making it easy for each other. And as these two are sort of having these little moments out on track, it's just going to help Andy Barber just go, yep, I can start closing this gap a little bit, I'm sure.
Actually think it's actually getting bigger a little bit, that gap between Matty Raymond and Andy Barber, whereas the gap between Ruben and Matty Raymond, it's very close. That's 0.4 of a second now between the SRM teammates, and you can sort of see in the background there Andy's just seems to be dropping off a little bit.
So let's take a look at Adam Ariel. Something's happened to the 515, and he's just run wide at the top of the corner there. Slams on the brakes, but unfortunately slides across the track, and heavy impact into the barriers for the Whitey's Pies 515. And that's going to be I reckon that's going to be a trip down pit lane for Adam Ariel.
Yeah, there was no pastry width there, that's for sure, unfortunately. And that's unlucky for Adam, because he's another driver who's, the last couple of weeks, he's been stringing together some really good results.
Yeah, it's always unfortunate when a little thing like that happens, and it can just sort of knock your confidence a little bit, and that's going to be crucial, is just take it and just go, yep, made the mistake. Things to learn for next time, and just learn from a mistake like that for the future, because it's just an easy little thing to do. And we see the 515 coming down a pit lane to get I imagine some emergency repairs.
Yes, unfortunately for Adam.
You can see now the gap between these two cars, Matty Ray and Ruben Phelps. Well, it is barely anything between them now. Matty Ray is just some couple of tenths behind Ruben Phelps at the moment, and they are really going for it, and all it will take is one little mistake from Ruben and Matty Ray will pounce on that. And well, with 4 laps to go, Brad, it's Brett even, there we go, we're all struggling with names tonight. With 4 laps to go, you just got to go, well, looks like JCW's managed to run out the leads. It's going to be tricky to close that gap down. But a mistake can still happen, so don't race too hard, teammates. Don't make a mistake and cost yourself too much time, because you need to be there if that mistake happens for the 35.
And Matty and Ruben, both being in the same Discord, they'll be talking to each other as well. So, I mean, I don't think that they'd be trying to psych each other out as such, but they're probably discussing who's got the better tyres underneath them, and they'll be trying to work out who will be the best one to try and do what they can to narrow this margin down.
I think they're just happy racing with each other at the moment. They are really going for it, and you can see the gap closing to Andy Barber behind. Andy's closing that gap slowly but surely, and just sneaking up a little bit on those two. It's not much, but he is managing just to get a little bit closer each lap. So, as I say, they've just got to be a little bit cautious here, not to lose too much time to the car behind.
Yeah, and like you said, Carl, they've only a couple of laps to go, with 3 laps to go, I think it says there.
Indeed.
Yes, so Ruben and Matty, they're both smart racers. They're probably just going to turn around and say, well, JCW skipped away from us here. We'll just let it roll around and just drive it home safe.
That's going to be it. Drive it home safe. That's going to be a key feature for these last few laps here tonight. And As I said, you can get some good point hauls here tonight as well. It being a road course, you get a little bit less turnout, unfortunately. Still a fairly healthy one. We had 14 cars for the start of tonight's race. A couple of cars didn't make the grid, unfortunately. They were in practice, but they ended up not coming out for the race as Ruben locks up the tyre a little bit there through the hairpin. Doesn't lose too much speed to his team leader behind, but that battle is surely on still. Up front, it's been fairly clear sailing for the 35 as he's looking to go past the 07 there of Mark Smith and put him a lap down. And look, just absolutely cruising now for JCW. You've just got to get your mind into the stage where you don't put too much pressure on yourself. You can't ease off too much, because if you ease off too much, it's very easy to make a mistake. If you push too hard, it's very easy to make a mistake. JCW's got some wins under his belt, but it's been a while since he's tasted champagne in Victory Lane, so he's just got to get the car home now, and that's going to be the crucial thing, not getting in your own head and just making it to the line. You could so easily make a silly little mistake in this last couple of laps.
Yeah, I can't help but wonder what the race would have been like with the perennial bridesmaid, Ryan Jones, not being here on track tonight.
No, Ryan's busy with work-related functions this week, unfortunately, so he's going to be busy working, but the white flag, I think, is going to be shown here with the final lap here for Joshua Carroll Walden, and a final run here to the checkered flag. He's just got to make it a few more corners and get to the end of this race. It's always a tricky little thing, as we say. It's very easy to get inside your own head and make a mistake in this final section. Just a bit further back, Andy Barber is closing it in on Matty Ray and Ruben Phelps, just 3 seconds separating from second to fourth at the moment, and Matty Ray still putting pressure on Ruben Phelps, so that battle is very much on at the moment and really is giving us some great action up to the line. But the 35 is coming through the S's for the final time tonight. Let's keep our eyes on the leader and make sure he makes it across the line, all safe and sound, and then we can jump back to the action behind. And I'm sure there'll be some wry grins between the teammates wanting to try and race it to the line. I'm sure neither of them want to be beaten by each other.
And yes, it's... and as you're watching... JCW as he goes across the line, I'm watching the two battling it out, and roaring up in the background is the 05 of Andy Barber's. So,
and JCW just takes the win there. Sorry, Brett. But we'll keep our eyes on the battle now between Ruben, Matty Ray and Andy Barber. And they cross the line in formation. It is Ruben Phelps taking second position with Matty Ray in third. Andy Barber brings it home in fourth spot. Good night for him. Norman Clark will come home in fifth. Tristan Koch comes home in sixth with Gary Wellman just behind him in seventh. Eighth place is going to be Jamie Nankervis. Just a few corners to make it now for the number 8 to finish in 8th position tonight. So all the 8s on board for Jamie at the moment. If he can just make it round this last corner and get it across the line. And that will be 8th position for Jamie Nankervis tonight. And he crosses the line to take that spot. Brad Fenley, or Fenoli, we should say. Always makes me think of cannoli. But, you know, yep. back to pastry-related things. But Brad comes home in 9th position tonight. He's going to be chuffed with a top 10 finish here. And Brenton Henderson making it a top 10 finish for the SRM team tonight. All of their cars inside a top 10. He's going to be delighted with that. Coming home in 10th for the 81. It's going to be Brenton Henderson. As we see JCW doing some well-deserved burnout donuts and enjoying some of those donuts tonight here at Sonoma. A fantastic drive from himself tonight, Brett.
Yeah, and JCW is another one of those hard races that very hard to pass and also very hard to keep in behind you. Had plenty of battles with JCW, and I've also been a teammate of his doing the Daytona 24-hour earlier on this year. And yeah, he's definitely got some ability behind the wheel.
Absolutely, and look, Sean, he's still got plenty of tyre left out there as well. Remember, he did not change tyres in that pit stop, and comes up to the line and gets himself a nice photo finish there.
I'm just wondering if he was trying to get it down to the belts and destroy the back guard like Australia or New Zealand's very own SVG does.
He's got to jump out of the car and sit up there to do that kind of thing. A really good result though for JCW tonight. He's going to be chuffed with that one, I am sure.
Yes, I dare say he very much will be.
Okie dokie. So let us get on with business, and first of all tonight we are going to be doing an interview with Mr. Matty Ray of SRM. Let us bring him up to the booth and start with that. Matty Ray, welcome back to the booth. Congratulations, P3 here at Sonoma.
Hey boys, yeah, how good one was that one? That one wasn't too bad. Hey Brett, how you going, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, Matty Ray. Nice drive there, mate. What sort of chat was going on between you and Ruben in those closing stages?
Not a word, really. We just knuckled down and just had a bit of a race between us two. He said, I'm not going to look in my mirrors. I said, good, don't. And, yeah, we just had a bit of fun, really. Like, sort of, if I pushed the friendship a bit, I reckon I could have got him, but I didn't want to risk wrecking both of us. So, yeah, we just had a bit of fun towards the end there. It was awesome.
Yeah, and that's a fair call. We noticed early on in the race, you're very pacey until you had a bit of a slide going through 3 and 4, I think it was.
Only 3 and 4. It was all over the shop.
Oh, there was one that we really picked up on.
Was there?
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. Like, I'm getting better around these road courses, and there was a couple of times she jumped out on you, but it's I don't know. These cars are getting more and more fun to drive, so it's just practice makes perfect, I guess. But yeah, no, it was good out there tonight. Had a couple of slides, but held on to it pretty good. The balance was pretty good tonight, front to rear sort of thing. So no, it wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, I still think they're a bit of a tank on road courses. So yeah, but yeah, what was your tyre wear like tonight, Matty? Was it fairly good or?
Yeah, it was good. Me and Rubes just wanted to try something a bit new. Like, we originally thought before the race, we were sort of thinking, if we come in about lap 10, 11, when we know we're going to have enough fuel to make it, we'll get new tyres on then and see if that makes a difference. Like, and we were going to stagger a few laps between us two to see if there was a difference there too, just for, general knowledge sort of thing.
Yep.
But then we locked out the front row, I think it was, and sort of took off. And I'm like, we'll see what happens here for a bit. And Ruby ducked in, grabbed some rubber, and I did on the yellow just to see what happened. But I don't know, it was sort of even Stevens a bit. Like, it was hard to get them up to temp sort of quick. That was a bit challenging. It was a bit slippery, but I think over more laps it might have paid off. But yeah, I don't know. JC Dubs was just too good for the rest of us tonight.
Yeah, so Lockie, sorry, got Lockie on the brain because
I swear at me like that.
Fair enough. So having yourself and Ruben in the top 3, and having Brenton Henderson in P10 there, you'd be
10th, was it? Yeah, good.
You'd be absolutely chuffed with that result tonight.
Yeah. Well, I am, because Ruby obviously always has pace, so I didn't want to fight him too hard. I held him up a little bit at the start there, sort of thing, I reckon, but he was happy to sit there for a few laps, and then he took off, sort of thing. And yeah, we're getting there. The whole road course and short track programs are working out pretty good. So yeah,
I know it's a question probably for another day, but what happened to your 4th car of Lockie?
I've got no idea. He didn't jump in Discord or anything. We haven't heard from him yet, so I haven't checked our team chat or anything like that. But yeah, I'll find out, I'm sure. He's got a new job, so he's been pretty flat out there, so it might have been something to do there, I'm assuming.
Fair enough. Carl, have you got anything further for Matty before we get into throw to his or thank his sponsors and whatnot?
Well, I just got to say, Mr. Maddie Ray, every time you qualify, you seem to do very well for yourself. So, qualify a little bit more often.
Yeah, I made it this year. I might for the Cup and like ASCC Cup and this series. I'll make sure I qualify just to see what happens. I thought I'd mix it up, and it has been alright. It's been up and down. At the start of the year, I was getting like into wrecks and all sorts of chaos. Too early for my liking, but we're getting there, mate. Bit of practice. We'll get there, bud.
Congratulations on pole tonight. That was a very good lap indeed.
How good's that, eh? I didn't just jag that, I think, a bit. I passed a lot because I've set up my keyboard. It flashes when it comes across a checkered flag. And it started doing that at the end of the first lap. I'm like, oh no, I thought it was 2 laps. So, and then I just happened to jag it. So I was like, yeah, that's all right, eh?
Worked out very well indeed. Look, congratulations tonight. Before we let you go, the personal shout outs tonight, we'll make Ruben do all the team shout outs because he finished ahead of you.
Oh, that's a good idea. Make him do something, eh?
Absolutely. We'll make him do the hard work.
As usual, our main sponsor, Johnny Larber from Mobile Brake and Mechanical Repairs, he puts it a fair bit into this team. We got Danny from Hurley's Made of Auckland. Fine hotel for a snitty if you're looking for one. We got Murphy's Mitre 10 and Moondog, who does sort of graphics and t-shirts and all that sort of bizzo. And we got a couple of charities on board with alopecia and Tourette's syndrome. And of course, you guys for putting on the stream, commentating it, doing all that, making it sound pretty good. So
we try. Yeah, we don't have to work too hard for you guys. That's the main thing.
I was going to say it must be hard work with us Muppets out there, eh? But thanks, boys.
Congrats, Matty Ray. Well done indeed. And I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth soon.
All right, lads. Yeah, cheers. See you, boys.
See you, mate.
Okie dokie. Next up, we will bring up our second place finisher for SRM as well. It is the flying Kiwi himself, Mr. Matty Ray. Sorry, not Mr. Matty Ray. Mr. Ruben Phelps, even. I'm glad he didn't hear that one. It's a cough, cough, cough. It's Mr. Ruben Phelps coming home in P2 tonight. Congrats, Rubens.
Fella, sorry about that wee bit of having to pull me back up again. I pushed the button as you must have pushed me, and it took me in here. So.
Oh, that's all right. I didn't make a mistake and call you Matty Ray by accident. I totally said Ruben Phelps. Congratulations on second place here at Sonoma, Ruben. Obviously, a very crucial finish for yourself tonight, being that it is the first of the Triple Crown races, and this is going to be crucial for the championship points ahead of one of your main rivals, Mr. Matty Ray.
Oh, exactly. I told him, I think I even told him last week, I said, just go out and race me because, that's the whole point. Only especially when it comes to Brenton and stuff, when they're still learning and stuff like that. So the best thing to do is actually race each other to get a bit more confidence and all that. But we've got our own little battle going on. So, of course, we don't want to just, we want to go and fight each other just so then there's something to work towards, because there's no point just looking after each other for this series since we are going for the one, first.
Absolutely. Look, the first person you got to beat in a championship is your teammate, and you got to assert your dominance over somebody like Matty Ray.
Well, exactly. He qualifying could have been a lot better too, but because I thought there was 2 laps, so I thought I'll take it easy, and then I go into turn 1 and 2 and up the hill, and then Matty Ray saying, "Oh, it's only 1 lap," and I was like, "What?" So then I had to go for it. So I lost myself nearly 5 odd attempts just hearing that. So that could have, that was just me didn't know about that. But other than that, the race went pretty good. I decided to make a pit stop and try something a bit different and see what tyres would have done, because I think I was mentioning that in the last road course race to see because I think it seemed to have worked for Ryan. So I thought I would try it to this race, and then as soon as I make a pit stop and come back on track, the competition caution came in. I thought, well, that would time perfectly, but I couldn't quite keep the tyres underneath me in the second stint, so that was why Matty had a little bit more pace.
Absolutely. We were going to ask about that little competition caution because we're sort of saying up here in the booth, it's like, is it the, do you sit there going, yes, this is going to work out perfectly for me? Or do you sit there going, oh, this should have come out a little bit later. I could have gained some time on the track. It sort of just came out at an awkward stage for you.
Well, yeah, you could go like that, but it actually, in a sense, it does actually work out perfectly because, you go in the pits, you come out, you finish, go back in about 6th or 7th, I think was where I ended up. And then, of course, the competition caution comes out, which all the leaders obviously have to come down pit road behind the pace car, which we've all caught up. So technically, I've already got the track position right there and then. So, but, with these tyres and that, temperature seems to be a factor, which it did work out for the last few laps, but there's obviously been as soon as JCW got there, I was like, well, every race lately has been a few bumps and bruises, and I didn't really want to go with that tonight, so I just let him go once he had the inside of me at turn 1 there, so I thought I'd be a bit smart at that, because if I get an incident point or something, that's 5 points taken away, so didn't really want to do that, but other than that, the front tyres weren't gripping up near the end, so me and Maddie had to just fight for it for the end for 2nd and 3rd.
Absolutely. Well, we wanted to ask quickly as well, that move by JCW, was there any contact between you two? Because it was very close from our camera angles. We couldn't quite get the eye on it though.
Yeah, no, I was a bit slow into 1, and he sort of got the track position into, just at the rise at the bridge bit, but as soon as I was there, I was like, oh crap, he's really got there. And then I actually lost the racing line, so I was in the dirty stuff, and as soon as I hit the brakes, it had a wee slide, so it was sort of going to happen, but luckily I'm sort of gathered it, but yeah, no, it was all planned when letting him go, but I just sort of made it look awkward.
Yeah, we sort of thought there was a bit of a slide by both of you there, and like Carl said, we weren't too 100% sure whether there was a bit of contact or a bit of netcode or something. And at that
there was no contact. It was just me getting in the dirty stuff and having a bit slide under braking. But other than that, it was pretty controllable. But it just looked a bit crazy.
Yeah.
Look, a really good drive tonight, Ruben, and a good championship position as well. You must be pretty chuffed with that one. Before we let you go, though, the usual thing, the love, the shout out to the sponsors, of course. It's your job to give them the best shout out possible because you're the highest finishing SRM.
Yeah, well, we've got to shout out Mark Johansson for putting the league together. I know things have been a bit funny lately, but it is what it is at this point, but it's all sorted. But you guys for actually still putting the broadcast together, and of course Matty Ray and SRM Australia. Of course Brenton, he said he didn't have an off track or didn't have any problems today. He stayed on track and got those vital laps, so it's all consistency pays off and it all runs in the end. So no, we did a good, definitely did well tonight. So, but also our sponsors, Mobile Brake and Mechanical Repairs, Movie Mighty 10, Mood Dog, and the 2 charities of Australia Alopecia and TS Tourette's Australia.
Thank you so much. Congratulations tonight, Ruben the Flying Kiwi. Well done again for another good result, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth in no time.
Yep, probably again next week, hopefully.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed. Have a good night, mate.
Cheers.
And finally tonight we bring up the race-winning Atari car. It's been a couple of weeks since we've seen an Atari car in Victory Lane, and it's been a lot longer since we've seen this man. It is Mr. Joshua Carroll Walden. Welcome back to Victory Lane, mate. Congratulations for the win here at Sonoma.
Yeah, thanks guys. Yeah, it has been a while since I pulled out a W, but yeah, no, I definitely had to work it tonight because this track, is just so technical, so hard. So yeah, I was definitely working. I was definitely pushing. That's for sure.
You were indeed. We saw you absolutely flogging as much as you could out the car, and it didn't all go to plan. We saw you having a couple of moments and a rather big off at one stage.
Yeah, I did. I don't exactly know what it was. That big first one, I just probably just didn't use enough brake going into that right-hander up the hill, and didn't do the right things when I was off the track. So that cost me a lot of time, and and the first stint as well, even though I didn't have many major offs, I was, a bit all over the place, locking wheels, and it did, shake my confidence from what was, a really good practice session. But yeah, came back in the end there, came with the goods, and just, it's just Sonoma. I was just, very conscious of Ruben and May Ray behind, because those guys have been, pretty quick, on road courses as of late. So, it was just, a really hard race.
Absolutely. Look, a really good job from yourself. I just got to ask as well, qualifying, did you think there was 2 laps?
No. I knew there was 1 lap, and I made a complete, absolute meal of it. Not only at turn 2, but throughout the whole lap, it was the worst. Yeah, it was the worst lap I did all night.
We
couldn't really go.
We
much
totally
worse.
were not riding on board with you for the qualifying lap. Sorry about that. It's our fault.
Yeah.
The extra weight of the camera did it. Let's just blame that one.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, like a really strong night for yourself. You had some really good pace out there tonight, and you also had to make a couple of big passes as well. With that bad qualifying you had to race your way up to the front, and you did that in some style.
Yeah, I did. Like, I knew, I was one of the fastest cars, out there coming into the race. So, I did take my time, I didn't rush it. Made my way up past, Andy Bala for third. And then, I tried to hunt down Matty Ray and, Ruben. And, I was going to be concerned about, how they were able to hold their own up there. And, but after that, competition caution, it definitely, definitely made me, calm the car down, the tyres down, and cool them down. And with a couple of mistakes notwithstanding, I never looked back.
No, look, a really solid result. And just quickly, competition caution, are you a fan or are you not?
Yeah, I definitely am. Definitely, spices up the racing a little bit, and definitely helps, around a place like this, for guys, just not get too discouraged and chucking the towel too early. So it provides pretty good racing, and we've had it for 2 races now. Road America, where it was a sprint. High intensity sprint to the finish, and here where just reset the field and made everyone really take stock, and I think everyone really enjoyed having that, and being able to reset and really race each other for the last 30 laps rather than just being cruising around on their own without any cars around them.
Look, great stuff tonight, Mr. JCW. Now, before we let you go, it's the hard part. It's the worst part about winning. It's time for the shout out, the love to the sponsors. I hope you've got the list ready and handy.
Yep, I do. First off, and shout out, and biggest shout out goes to Mark. Mark Hansen, admin of the league. He's had a really torrid time the past couple of weeks, and just wishing him all the best, and hopefully he comes back refreshed and comes back strong, because the stuff he's had to put up with over the past month or two has been completely unfair and just disgusting. So shout out to him, shout out to the rest of the Natari boys, Toby, and hope you're still doing well in school, Ed, and Daniel. Shout out to you as well, mate. Shout out to our sponsors, Growth Odyssey, Fully Floored, and Turbo Alpha Japan, for continuing to support us through thick and thin. Shout out to you, Carl, and Brett in the box. Thank you very much for commentating and doing all the cameras and everything tonight. We all really, really appreciate it. And shout out to all the non-toxic members of this league that make it so enjoyable every Saturday night.
A big thank you, Mr. JCW. Congratulations on the win tonight, and hopefully this will be a bit of a purple streak for you and will get you back in victory lane in the very near future.
Fingers crossed, guys. Thank you very much.
JCW there taking the win tonight, and of course taking the win in the first of the Triple Crown events, Brett. That is a crucial thing indeed.
Yes, it is, mate. It sets up for the final 2 races of those. And I think if if Josh can maintain the form that he displayed tonight in the remaining 2 races of the Triple Crown, I don't think anyone's going to be able to beat him.
Absolutely. He had some really good speed out there tonight and a couple of little mistakes, but as you said, it's been a while since he's been up in the lead of a race, and you just have those little moments of nervousness just creeping in sometimes. And when you're at the lead of a race and it's been a while since you've been there, it can just creep in, but once you get it done and dusted, it's amazing how much more confidence you have going through the rest of the races, and that confidence is just going to build for Mr. Joshua Carroll Walden and that Natari team. Well, we are about done and dusted tonight for this, the 22nd round of the season, of course, here at Sonoma for the Virtual Motorsport Mentor Triple Crown. Next week, of course, we will be back here on Checkered Flag streaming with some more action for you. Of course, it is the second round of the Triple Crown, Brett.
No, it's not. We're going to Worldwide Technology next week.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, sorry. My brain has just gone on autopilot mode as I'm just I'm just getting everything finished up for the stream. So a big thank you for joining us all tonight. We appreciate all the views from everybody and the wonderful community out there as well, and we will wish you all the best and see you again next week for some more action here on Checkered Flag streaming.